Hey, here we go. What's up, guys? So today is the first day of the 7-day intro to food freedom. And I've never done anything like this before, so I'm super hyped up. I have lots of good stuff to talk to you about. And I just wanted to do an intro about the intro. So basically, when I think of food freedom, the question of how does that look to me pops into my mind. Hey Rose, how are you? It's so good to see you. Hey Steph, good to see you guys. Hi. So the question of what is food freedom comes to my mind. And then the opposite is what is the opposite of that? What is in turn, if I have food freedom, what would be the opposite of not having food freedom? And the three words that came to my mind immediately, I actually did a little antonym Google search for this, were food imprisonment, food restriction, and food limitation. And the question of the way that I eat, the behaviors that I have around my choices of food, the behaviors, the emotions, the way that I look at food. Do I feel like I am free from food, or do I feel like food imprisons me? So just like quick story, I am a registered dietitian. I am a certified personal trainer. I've been in the industry for 10 years, started in college, and at around the same time, I developed a binge eating habit. And that was the start of my struggle with depression and anxiety. And there's a lot of things that went into the cause of those things. But ultimately, knowing all that I knew about nutrition, all that I knew about diets and how to eat, did not have any help in my binge eating struggle. And as I was diving deeper into using food as a coping mechanism to kind of like numb out from any uncomfortable emotion that I felt, whether it was frustration or just discomfort or sadness or anger or wanting to procrastinate, just like not feeling good enough, I would often eat when I was tired, because I wouldn't give myself enough sleep. So when I was really tired and cranky and irritable, I would just what's the right word I'm looking for? I can't think of it, but I would interpret being tired as being hungry, and I would go and I would binge eat. I would go into the kitchen and I would just overdo it on food. And when I was bored, I would do the same thing. When I felt like I was letting people down, I would turn to food. And so it became this deeply ingrained coping mechanism that I would use to fill this void of needing something in my life. And the harder I tried to get out of it, it seemed like the more I was digging myself into a hole. If anybody is agreeing with anything that I'm saying, or you feel like you've experienced this in some way, please just like throw some hearts up, give me some thumbs up. I have been there, so like there's no shame here. It's completely an open, safe space to talk about this. And I like to share what was really hard for me so that we can all just get on the same page. Like, it's okay and it's normal to go through stuff like this. So thank you guys. Thanks Rose. Thanks Sharon. That makes me feel better to know that like this is something that I can relate to you on. Obviously, it doesn't make me feel good to know that you're struggling with this, but this is why we're all here, right? So the harder I tried to get out of it, which all I knew was diet, all I knew was restrict more so that you don't eat more, exercise more. But it was like the harder I tried to do that, the more I got down into that deep hole. So it really took a whole like restructuring of my mindset to actually climb out of my binge eating coping mechanism. And that is what I want to start with. the perception of how we view what food freedom is and what it will take from us to get there. And it goes against a lot of what we think we know. It seems kind of counterintuitive. And this, I'm specifically talking about using food and overeating on food and using food to kind of numb out and disconnect from life, and binge eating and mindless eating and overeating, emotional eating. All of those things fall into that category. So this may sound like something that is for you, but if you're someone who feels like, oh, this is not for me, I totally understand. But I still think it's really interesting to understand the psychology of it, because at some point we all sort of have that thing that we use as our distraction, whether it's our phone, whether it's the TV, whether it's online shopping in general. And then obviously like the deeper, more life destructive addictions like gambling and obviously narcotics and alcohol and things like that. So it's all on different levels, but they all kind of boil down to a similar neuroscience and a similar behavior, whatever that outlet is. So I'm going to get into that detail a little bit more later on this week, and I'd love to hear your questions on that. So anytime you guys have questions, please ask them, because as we go along this, I want to be able to answer those specific questions for you. So feel free to just throw them out in the comments anytime something comes to your mind. And even if I don't get to answer it in this video, I'll definitely answer it in a future video. I just want to make a little adjustment. Okay, so when it comes to like those words, food imprisonment, food restriction, food limitation, I feel like it gives a connotation that we're either making like a sacrifice or overindulging, right? Like if you feel I have to restrict, it's limiting you, you're sacrificing in some way. And if that is not what you're doing, it's just everything's a free-for-all, everything is an overindulgence, it's very black and white. And I found that struggling with binge eating also made this having that cultural diet culture mindset made binge eating recovery that much harder. I feel like what I want to convey to you guys over this next 7 days is when we look outside of ourselves, when we look to a diet, we look to somebody else to tell us something outside of ourselves, to dictate to us what it's supposed to look like. We are overriding our own self-trust. We're overriding all of the signals and the messages that our own body is trying to tell us about what is going to work for us. And I put up a post yesterday or earlier today saying that what's going to work for you is going to change. It's just a natural thing. Like as we grow as humans, as we evolve as humans, as we get older, as we get involved in different things and activities, even in the activity level of our day-to-day, that stuff's gonna change. But if you can speak the language that your body is telling you, receive the messages, learn to tune in and instead tune out to all of the excess noise telling you what you should and shouldn't do, and instead tune in to really hear what your body is saying. Hey, this is actually working really well for us. We feel really good. We feel really energized. And what are those metrics that you're using to determine if you are on that path of your body feeling really great? What are those things that you're looking for? So maybe you're looking at something that's not actually for you. So again, something to get into later in this week, which I'm really excited to talk about. But we're overriding these messages from our body that's either telling us, yes, this makes us feel great, this makes us feel energized. This is how I look at what I am choosing to put into my body. Hey guys, welcome. And this is what I am just sharing openly with you to help you get a different perspective. So is the food that you're putting into their body telling you, yes, this makes us feel great, this makes us feel energized, this behavior feels grounded, this behavior makes us feel satisfied and sustained? Or does this food, specifically a food, or the behavior and the manner in which you're eating that food make you feel dissatisfied, sick, physically uncomfortable, lethargic, what else? Irritable, low on energy, stuff like that. Not sleeping well, not fueled to do the things that you want to be able to do, right? Ultimately, that's something that I think most of us all strive for. So binge eating, how can we define this? So binge eating is very much caused or exacerbated by dieting, restriction of food that is either to fill a dissatisfied need of your stomach and your body, or it's also the out of control way of eating to fill a dissatisfied need of the mind or the soul or something along those lines. So you can see those two kind of paths converging into this way of using food as a coping mechanism. So binge eating and emotional eating are defined in specific ways because it's totally normal to overeat every once in a while. But binge eating and emotional eating, I think, takes it a step further. And these are some really good points to just point out to help bring awareness to, are the patterns and the behaviors that I'm doing something that falls under this umbrella? So I'm just going to share these few with you. This is from the Mayo Clinic, by the way. So eating unusually large amounts of food in a specific amount of time, such as like a 2-hour period. So I just want to make a quick comment to this because the qualification, an unusually large amount of food, can really be relative. That could be like a sleeve of Oreos. It could also be an entire bag of carrots. And then it could also be like a meal and then a box of cereal and then crackers and then cheese and then it's just ongoing. So it's really relative, and I think it's more the behavior and the manner in which you're using the food and eating the food that really defines that. But feeling that your eating behavior is out of control is another one. Eating when you're full or not hungry and kind of like overriding those full cues and just continuing to eat. You may even not want to be eating, but yet you keep eating. I don't know if anyone's ever experienced like you actually want to stop putting food into your mouth and you just don't. And it's like this awful feeling of distraughtness and upset, but you just can't stop yourself. It feels very out of control. Thank you guys for joining, by the way. Okay, so I'm just continuing to describe things about binge eating that kind of separate it from just an occasional overeat or an occasional overindulgence. So a big one is eating rapidly, eating really fast. It feels very chaotic. It feels very fast and almost like you're eating fast enough so that your brain like doesn't recognize what you're doing. Eating until you're uncomfortably full and even past that point possibly. This is a big one. Frequently eating alone or in secret or hiding the food that you binged on or may binge on in the future, hiding it from other people that you live with, or even in a way hiding it from yourself. Like I felt so often that I was so numbed out and so disconnected during binges that I didn't even want to recognize and be aware of what I was doing. So it was in a weird way, I was like hiding it from myself. And then feeling depressed, disgusted, ashamed, guilty, upset about the way that you're eating, about the binge. And then frequently dieting, frequently restricting to make up for the overeating, usually without any change in weight. So just real quick, I'm going to wrap up this video because like I said, it's just an intro to what this next 7 days is going to look like, and you can still sign up. It's totally free to do this 7-day intro to food freedom, and I have the link in my bio, so it's just your name and email address, and I'll be doing these lives every single day for the next week, and then you'll get the follow-up replays in your email just in case you missed it or if you want to rewatch it again and again. So I know that I like to watch videos over and over again, especially when a ton of info is being shared. I want to be able to watch and just like really soak in what I missed the first time around. Good, I'm glad, Rose. I'm glad. So just the last thing I want to mention is in this intro to food freedom, what is the thing that I want to get across to you guys? That is, I want to inspire you to see that recovery from this binge eating pattern that you have, or any way that you're using food that doesn't feel productive, that doesn't feel like it's serving the person that you want to show up as every day. I want to inspire you to see that recovery is possible. I also want you to be open to letting go to some of the unhealthy behaviors that are preventing you from discovering what food freedom is, from reaching freedom from food, right? So that food is not controlling us anymore. I also want you to step outside your comfort zone. And I know this creates a little angst and is honestly, it's scary. It's scary AF to step out of your comfort zone. But I promise you that is where freaking awesome transformation happens, even if it's just like minuscule transformation, but that is where you start to see what's possible. So I'm going to encourage us to do that. And listen, we're all doing it together, right? All together. And then the last thing is to learn actionable, I can't say that word, learn actionable things, steps to practice daily, because just no sugarcoating this, like no BS. This is an everyday work. This is an everyday practice, something that you guys have to work at every single day, even if it's one small step for you to recover, for you to stop binge eating, for this to be something that's no longer an option, something that you do not have to battle day in and day out because you have worked yourself out of it where you don't even get binge urges anymore. That is the ultimate goal. And then to define, what does food freedom look like for you? So the homework assignment I'm going to give for you is to think about why. Why do you want so badly to recover from binge eating? Why do you want to have freedom from food? What does that look like for you? What does food freedom look like for you? It could be simple, but I'll tell you, it's deep. It is deep, deep. It is beyond the surface level deep. So go there, visit that place. I would love for you to share it with me if you want to share it with me in a DM or even email me. And I'm going to leave it here. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.